So in this lesson, we are going to talk about solving absolute value equations. So let me choose a different color. I can solve absolute value equations. So this is going to be something new that we have not yet learned from last year. So I know most of the stuff we learned was reviewed from pre-algebra. From here on out, it is going to be a little different. So make sure you pay attention. If you need to print out the notes on Schoology, you can do that as well. Pause this video at any time you would like. So what is an absolute value equation? An absolute value equation is an equation that contains an absolute value expression. Here are three examples. So I have the absolute value of x is equal to 2. I have the absolute value of x plus 1 is equal to 2, or x plus 1 equals 5. I have 3 times the absolute value of 2x plus 1 equals 6. So all of these are absolute value equations. So you can solve these types of equations by solving two related linear equations. So this is where it gets a little interesting, it's a little tricky, and we'll walk through this now. So to solve an absolute value equation, here's how you solve it. You have ax plus b is equal to c, and you have ax plus b equals negative c. So that's why it's a little interesting when it gets to this part. What do I mean c and negative c? What does all of this mean? Well, let's do an example together. In this example, it looks like if x minus 4 is equal to 6. So you solve two equations every single time. First equation, x minus 4 is equal to positive 6, just normal 6. And then you have x minus 4 is equal to negative 6. So the only thing different here is that your second equation, there is a negative sign. Okay, so you always have to solve 1 and 2 equations. You solve them normally. I have x equals 10. I have x equals negative 2. So I have two solutions here. I have x equals 10, and I have x equals negative 2. All right, let's do another example here. I have the absolute value of 3x plus 1 is equal to negative 5. So you see how you have an absolute value equal a negative number. So let's back up a little bit. What do we know about absolute values? Well, the absolute value, can an absolute value ever be negative? No, right? Can an absolute value of 2 ever be negative 2? No, it can never be a negative number. So right off the bat, if you have an absolute value equation equal a negative number, it is no solution. You always have to make sure, is my absolute value equation positive? Okay? So why don't you try 1, 2, 3, and 4 on your own. Moving on, example number 2, solving an absolute value equation. So let's take a look at this one. So I have the absolute value of 3x plus 9 minus 10 equals negative 4. You're like, oh, easy, this is no solution. But it's not this easy. Why? Because you have to get rid of this first. Okay, so you have to add plus 10, plus 10. So now I have the absolute value of 3x plus 9 equal 6. Now I can solve it. So you always have to see, step 1 to solving absolute value equations, get rid of everything outside absolute value first. So that means you either add and subtract first, right, to get rid of all the extra stuff, and then you can multiply and divide to get rid of all of that extra stuff too. Okay, so from here, see if the solution is positive or negative. Right? So if my solution is negative, then it is no solution. Right? After that, you split into two equations and solve. So you have to get rid of everything outside of your absolute value first before you can see if it's no solution or not, because it can be tricky like this. So from here, let's finish this problem off. You have 3x plus 9 is equal to positive 6. 3x plus 9 equals negative 6. And you solve it, right? I have 3x equals negative 3, 3x equals negative 15, divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. I get x is equal to negative 1, x equals negative 5. These are your two solutions. So your solutions can be negative, right? So I can have x equal a negative number. I just can't have it the equation equal a negative number. Okay, so why don't you try 5, 6, and 7 on your own. Number 7 is a little tricky, so you have to go through the steps, right? You add and subtract first, and then you multiply, divide the stuff outside of my parentheses. All right? So why don't you match up 5, 6, and 7. If you get any of these wrong, I would, go back and try it again. If you still get it wrong, then I would, ask questions in class tomorrow. Once you finish 5, 6, and 7, make sure you also rate yourself with a level of understanding. And I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye, guys.